Welcome to SideQuest Source. Come for the gaming, stay for my sexy voice.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Well, of course it's perfect. Yes. So
we're having a special this week because we can't, for various reasons.
Special social distancing podcast.
Yes, a special social distancing podcast. And sorry, I dropped my headphones.
You're always complaining about us
without meeting your friends.
You're always complaining about us dropping things or banging things, and you do most of that yourself.
Yes, I do. I know.
You guys do all the banging.
We bang.
I mean, you're the ones with kids.
Oh yes.
Mm.
Yep.
Yes.
So we apologize.
None of the protection.
We apologize for the sound quality, but hopefully we'll be able to do well. Hopefully I can clean it up enough to make it sound nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
For at least a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, because it could happen that we have to do it this way all winter if we don't really know what's going to happen. Now that flu season is starting in the northern hemisphere.
That is true.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how bad the thing's going to get.
Then at that point, I will lend you my audio equipment. So, social distancing, that's a very important topic now, even in the board gaming world. We touched upon it, I think, in episode 2, about like online board games slightly.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
we did.
So, but now more than ever, it might be worth looking into. Like what are some types of board games that can be played without worrying about getting too close to each other? What are good social distancing games that could be played with your same gaming group or with minimum amount of fuss?
Well, the oldest one that I'm aware of is Chess by Mail.
Oh yeah,
You simply send back and forth you send your move to the other player, and then they'll make the move on their chessboard, send it by mail back what they want to do, and so that's very, very, very poorly explained. But
well, I guess that was what they did back in during the Spanish flu.
Back in the day when people just lived far away, and that way you could have an ongoing chess game with a friend where you both set up your chessboards, and then whenever you make a move, you write that in your letter, and maybe something else that's going on, and you send it to your friend. Then they make the move that you wrote on their chessboard, and then they make their own move and send it forward, and so on. And nowadays you could do that a lot faster with, say, text messages and stuff, the internet. Yeah, we can actually play online, or if you want to have that old school vibe, to actually have chessboards out and then just use text messages or something.
Yeah.
To send like queen to f5 and so on.
There is a skill involved with saying it that way. Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
The whole play by mail idea, it works very well for a certain type of game only. The kind of game where one person makes a full set of moves, and then it's the next person's turn, and then they make a full set of moves. For any game where there's sort of rapid interaction between players, or perhaps a storytelling element, play by mail loses out somewhat. But chess is a perfect example, because each person makes a single turn, and then it's the other person's chance to ponder and respond. But not all games would work well in that format.
Yeah, but you could play Tiny Epic Dinosaurs by mail.
Yes,
you could play Tiny Epic Dinosaurs by mail.
The only issue I was going to say then is that any game that involves an element of chance, a random dice, or drawing cards from a shared pool, therein lies a problem. Obviously, you can play entirely on trust, and that's absolutely fine.
Or you have a third player who is responsible for third party that's responsible for the dice and the cards, and you trust them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's kind of a boring player, don't you think? The only thing that they'd be doing is just rolling dice and then pulling cards. He doesn't get to play the game.
He just writes down the result and send it forward. But
he just waits someone to send him in a mail every 3 months, and then he's like, "Oh, great! Now I rolled the dice."
Well, there's a business idea for people: dice roller and card puller.
But the problem then is that every step has to go through this additional player. So instead of I send my moves to you, you send your moves back. I send my moves to the third player, they send the response to you, then You send your response to the third player, and then he forwards it to me. It doubles the amount of letters sent.
Well, yes, if you do it with letters, but if you do it with, say, modern chat programs, then you just have a group chat where the third party is part of the group chat, and you just declare, I want to do this, and I will roll this many dice, and pull a card from this deck, and then they respond what happens.
I reject.
Like you have rolled 20.
Roll 20 would work. I reject your modern technology, and I want to send it via pigeon.
Well, it's absolutely doable. It just takes more time.
Yep.
Yeah. No, but roll 20 basically allows us to play quite a few games that normally you can play around the table, and you can play it now with very good social distancing. I mean, there's Fiasco we can play. Mm-hmm. And
a lot of those games you don't actually need Roll20. I mean, because you could just play them over WhatsApp group video chat as well.
Yeah,
and
true.
You just throw a dice and you show people what you got. Or if you're doing it online with a computer, there's a lot of websites out there that are virtual dice rollers. Use one of those.
Yeah, I think these online services for games like Tabletopia and Roll20 work.
Are the devil.
Okay, fine. I'll
devilishly good.
I'll take that under advisement. I think they work best with games that don't have too many tokens or moving parts. Now, if you take Dungeons and Dragons, for example, that's the classic game to play on Roll20. If you are using battle maps, there's a map and your piece on it. There aren't lots of little tokens and cards and things to flip around. We played Fiasco through Tabletopia. There's a few cards in there, but not a huge amount. But imagine playing like a big 4X game on Tabletopia. Imagine trying to keep track of the hundreds of different tokens and cards that are spread out. That would be really difficult.
At that point, then I would say that, a big game like that, then you have to play it has to be its own game, own program where it's all digitized.
Oh yeah,
maybe. But if you want the tabletop, I think Tabletopia would be okay with that, because you can make all these stacks smaller. Essentially, you don't have this large amount of tall card stacks. You just have the tokens. This is the card stack for this, card stack for that. And seeing as it's online, can't you? I'm not sure. Can you save the game halfway on a Tabletopia?
Yeah, I think you can.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, and then you don't have to have 100 cards in your hand, because then you have that at the bottom of your screen. But for Roll20, I do understand that, because for Roll20, it seems more like a good place to have all of your documents collected. So for pen and paper RPG system, so you open up your essentially your shared project, and within that you have your character sheets and whatnot, and the DM has all of their related paperwork for the campaign.
Yeah. But Terraforming Mars, for example, I mean, that has a lot of parts in it and lots of bips and bops and everything. And they have a PC version of it, and it runs just fine. Everyone swears by it. They say it's great. And you can even get it on your iPhone now.
But they are dedicated custom programs rather than a simulated version of the tabletop game.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's the answer only for games that are massive 4X games. You have to make a dedicated software for it, because otherwise it'll just be clunky.
I would still argue that that for a lot of games it's better, it's easier, more streamlined if you have a dedicated program for that. But I still think Tabletopia, if there's a lot of the setup is already done, it's not that clunky of a game, actually. It's the setup and keeping track of all the bips and bops that takes up most of the time.
Yeah.
Whereas in Tabletopia, it's already you set up the game, it's already technically set up. The bips and bops are there. They're not going to fall under the table or get lost somewhere. The dog's going to steal them or something. They're not really going anywhere. It's not that ungainly. It's more the interface is tiring when there's lots of parts there, but it's not that difficult.
Okay. Well, what games have we played that would be really good in Tabletopia? We played Fiasco, and I thought that went perfectly. I'm thinking...
That would be Roll20 or Tabletopia.
Tabletopia.
That was Tabletopia.
It's for board game.
Yeah. But you said Fiasco.
Yeah, we played...
Fiasco was Roll20.
No, was it Roll20? No, you're right. It was.
Yeah.
It was. You're absolutely right. It was Roll20. But for either of them, I mean, I'm thinking Once Upon a Time would work really well, because there's not that many moving parts. There's just cards.
Yeah.
Sheriff of Nottingham.
I'd argue that Once Upon a Time would be a great game. Once upon a time you could actually play on a WhatsApp video call.
Yeah.
Because whenever you just start interrupting, as in the game, and start taking over the game. All you have to do is like turn over your phone and then show, here's the card.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, if both of you have the same 2 decks, then you might pull out the same card.
That's okay.
Or you might have.
That's okay. They can you can hijack each other's story. That's fine. That's part of the game, I think.
I don't know. That goes too far. I mean, like, what if you both have the same ending they're going for?
Okay. Well, that is true. Okay. Well, then you'd have to have something like Tabletopia or something that has the virtual deck somewhere.
Yeah. But like reeling it back to like actual games that we could play.
Mm-hmm.
What are other types of like board games and such that you can play? Like, let's say,
I'd say all kinds of card games should work pretty well there.
Yeah, but these are like on online platforms. But like, is there anything that one can play like not online? I mean, we touched upon play by mail and stuff, but let's say something with a more modern twist, like.
There was the text message based role playing game that you discovered.
Yes, that game.
What was that called?
Tell everyone about that. Because that looked really interesting. And
yes, this is a game Steph found on Kickstarter, I believe, and it should be a role-playing game in the modern world, and it all happens through text messages in a group chat, as in it would actually be in a group chat.
Yes, it's called Alice is Missing, a silent role-playing game. The premise is really interesting, and basically everyone is they're either classmates or they're from the same school, but they're all friends. And one day one of their friends goes missing, and everyone has their own secret story or secret thing. And you play through the whole thing in an hour, and there's a timer that goes down, and whenever the timer reaches a certain milestone, then certain things happen in the game. It's designed so that everyone plays in the same room and is just tapping on their iPhone, but then there is a Roll20 version. But I'm pretty sure with a few tweaks here and there, this can be done just on your iPhones or mobile phones anyway.
Well, yeah, because if you're on the same room tapping on your phones, being in the same room is essentially pointless. You can just have a video chat if you need to have that sort of like you want to see each other.
Yeah.
But it seems it's a bit boring maybe. Like, hey guys, let's go together and play a role-playing game. Yeah, awesome. Okay, let's all sit in this room and be quiet. No speaking.
Well, it is only for an hour, and it is people have said who have played it now, they say it's pretty intense because the themes in it go into very dark places if you wanted to. You can do it funny as well, but it's pretty heavy. And I think that's a cool thing because, I mean, us as a group, we usually go for the funny stuff and the creepy stuff and, the horror-y. But there's always been an element of fun in there. But I don't think we've ever really gone at any point like serious. I mean, sometimes in our D&D games we can go into a serious place. But I don't think we've ever actually played a game that's starts off in a serious place, if you know what I mean.
That's true. Yeah, if games start getting a bit too serious, we tend to pretty quickly pull it into satire to make it more comfortable.
Some after alcohol.
I'm genuinely concerned that I may lack the emotional maturity to take it seriously, and I'll just end up doing something silly because I do have a tendency.
Oh, come on, Tom!
I have a tendency to take things to the absurd.
Yeah, but see that's your coping mechanism.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Normal, yeah.
Which is pretty normal. And the thing is that you do play serious stuff. I mean, Christ, we've been playing Curse of Strahd, and you do go into serious places. I mean, okay, I'm going to tell the people about some of the shenanigans happening in Curse of Strahd.
Okay, so spoilers if you ever want to play Curse of Strahd, which you should because it's awesome, but still.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, this is more about my character, and I doubt my character is like in the campaign, but my character, or well, I don't know with what's happening with my character might be in the campaign. But anyway, my character has potentially found a half brother and that got like. First, that got me as a player a bit like upset because I'm like, fuck, Tom is now adding stuff into my character story. But then after a while, I started thinking like, actually, this is pretty cool because this is exactly how my character would also react, because my character is like grown up in the streets and he's a thief and stuff. And of course, he'd react instantly like, well, fuck you, I don't need anybody. And then we played that really pretty seriously.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And that ended up pretty good because because I too also like to goof around and have it be all funny and stuff. But I saw the opportunity being too good to just be stupid and goofy. I wanted it to play it seriously, that this guy really was emotionally distraught with this whole thing. I mean, not only is he in a place that is totally out of his comfort zone, but now situation is like in his personal life is now getting fucked over as well. That's not fair, So I think that's very, very cool, because now I'm actually playing with this character on a whole different level, which I wouldn't have played. So I'm not saying that when we're going to play Alice is Missing that everyone has to, be dealing with, family trauma and abuse and also drugs and shit. But I think with a game called Alice is Missing, it would be kind of also weird if we're all just joking and stuff and she's like not really missing, that she's just stoned somewhere in a parking lot.
Well, do you remember
kidnapped by her like dealer boyfriend?
Do you remember what you did to me in Pendragon 10 years ago? Because I remember.
Oh, shit. No, I don't.
So we're playing Pendragon, which is an Arthurian Legends roleplay game.
Which we should play again.
Very
that
good,
was hilarious.
Very good fun. Also very, very deadly and very dour. And it came to the sort of winter season time where you maintain what's happening to your family tree. And it's like...
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's like, okay, let's see what happens. So, okay, your character gets married. That's wonderful. Oh, your wife gets pregnant, and unfortunately, your wife and child die in childbirth. Your wife's 8 months pregnant, isn't she, Tom? It's like, yes, she is. Thank you for bringing this up.
It didn't quite go like that, but yes, unfortunately, your make-believe family
all died.
They all died. Yeah, but you can't really blame Steph for that, because I think pretty sure that was controlled by the dice.
But Steph controls the dice. Don't you know that yet?
Yes, but now I see where this whole Tom cheats comes from, because it was after that happened, he made it his mission to just fuck with me. No, but like after that, if I recall, your character became quite a ladies' man, and he repopulated England after that.
South Wales. Repopulated South Wales.
South Wales.
Yes.
Yes.
Having lived in South Wales, not that difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
no, like maybe
technically they're all your
five pregnancies.
Yeah. But, that was a fun game. And it has, like, the Great Pendragon campaign that takes, like, 5 years to actually play through. And it's nuts. I love that game. We should play it again one day.
Yeah.
It was fun.
What about single-player games? I mean, sometimes maybe you want to just play alone.
Yeah, sometimes it's a good choice to just play with yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
There's all kinds of games and toys for that.
Master gaming.
Honestly, like single-player board games have never really appealed to me that much. The thing I like about board games is playing with other people, and I have a lot of games that have a single-player solo mode, and it's just like no. If I can't play this with someone else, I'll save it for later, and I'll get my fix of this game like in a group or in a pair. And there's plenty of other things to do for one player. But I mean, if there's any great one-player games, I'm happy to take recommendations and give them a try. Change my mind on this. What should I play?
Well,
Solitaire, the classic.
Solitaire.
Well, okay, it's single-player card
the
games.
name itself.
It's a bit boring, but I mean, it's a bit plain, but it's actually not that bad of a game. If all you got is a deck of cards, you want to spend some time, because there is a lot of like mental work involved in that one.
Okay. But if I'm alone with a deck of cards, I'm prepping magic tricks to amaze you guys.
Well, I mean, Planetarium actually has a really fun single-player mode, which is like super fast, and it's not too bad. I mean, you just create solar systems, and they're fun. But one game that actually works superbly well as a single-player game is Seventh Continent.
Oh, okay.
I can imagine that one working, because that one has a very randomly created sort of narrative that happens in the game. You go to a place, you experience what's happening, you make a choice, and it's not always the same outcome. So you don't really know what's going to happen. So I would imagine games like that.
But that's a massive
time stories.
I was going to say for Seventh Continent, that's a massive commitment to spend a lot of time doing something by yourself.
Well, I mean, I like computer games, which is usually because if I want to play a game alone, I'll usually go for a computer game. And but if well, to be honest, I mean, the amount of time I can spend on a computer game, I mean, playing through one campaign of Seventh Continent alone, I could do that.
But with a computer game, it's a lot easier to pause and restart. You don't have to take over your kitchen table for a weekend and tell your wife and kids they can't touch the meeples.
Another game you can play is Detective. You can do that and go through all the stories and enjoy that as well. They have a single-player module in that. But surprisingly enough, a game that has been actually getting good reviews as its single-player component is Tricarion.
Oh, interesting. Do go on.
Tricarion has a whole single-player mode with its own cards and everything like that. And it's like really interesting.
I must say, considering the amount of time we've been talking about Tricarion, praising the game, I think Tricarion is our like model for the perfect a good game. Compare everything to Tricarion. I have not realized it actually has a single player mode, and I'm actually intrigued. I want to try it out because whenever we play against each other, there's a part of me that wants to experiment and try something new. But another part that just wants to go to the tried and tested that will make me win.
I gotta admit, I was so happy that I took the chains guy, and then I realized that, like, wait a minute, this guy's thing is the Tricarion stones, the shards, and now I think like I'm gonna try that again, and go even more so.
That's what I'm saying, like. Because with a game like Detective and Seventh Continent, with some of the not that much with Seventh Continent, but with Detective and other of this time stories, where it is every case is its own story. It is kind of you play it through once and then you know the answers kind of game.
Yeah.
I mean, Seventh Continent has some narrative things that you know what you'll need to find, but it won't always be the same road that you take.
It won't, and because the road is so big, you can still enjoy it again by going through the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I would see Seventh Continent has way more replayability than Detective, but Tricarion, a single player game, wow, because again, all praise Tricarion. There is just so many ways, so many paths to victory, and every time I play it just opens up a little bit more.
Yeah, that's true.
So single player mode is like really good for like just exploring what all you can do, what kind of things could lead to a victory in that one.
Another great game to play online, actually, or not online, but social distancing, is Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, but everyone needs to have a copy of it. But yeah.
Well,
so
I mean,
you can all read the same newspaper.
Well, I mean, all you have to do is scan the newspaper, and scan the directory, and scan the map.
Yeah,
and then.
Break
one
copyright.
person. Well, no. I mean, the thing is, you scan. There is the case book, and I would say that the owner of the case book would be the owner who then reads the case book. But then everyone else might have access to the newspaper and then the map and that, so that everyone else can see those things. But then whenever they go somewhere, then the owner would read the case book.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can play that alone. That's a game you can definitely play alone by the fireside.
Oh, absolutely.
You have your little cognac and read your newspaper and, solve a murder.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a game that I used to play with some colleagues years and years ago, back when I was in Manchester, and my friend Len ran it. Len, if you're listening, this is the game. It never had a name, it was just the game. And it was a strategy-based game, and we just told him every day, like, this is what my faction wants to do. And I don't know how he kept track of it. I don't know whether he had all the details in a spreadsheet, or whether it was purely narrative, or whether he just made it up. But he would set up conflicts between our factions. We'd tell him our rough tactics, and he would give us a resolution. This is what happens. And it was fun, but I've got no idea how he made it work.
This kind of reminds me of a very old game I used to play on, if you remember bulletin board services, BBSs.
Yeah.
There was one very famous one in Finland called VGA Planets. And you basically, it was like Masters of Orion, technically.
Uh-huh.
And it was turn-based, but each turn would it wasn't real time. It would take a day or a week or something like that. I wasn't very good at it. My friends played it more. But I remember I was in a chat forum once for Free Space 2, and someone created a similar kind of game, which was purely on the forums. There was a star map and everything, and then everyone would say each week what their faction would do, and then this guy would run it, just like you said. And I remember my faction was pleasure resorts and hotels and stuff. So I would have very small fleets, like a security force, but everyone else would just come and party at my place always. And my whole thing was that I was gathering secrets, so I was like an information broker. So it was cool. In the end, I got taken over by some alien faction, and then they sucked my brains out. And I thought that okay, that's fair enough.
I mean, games like that, I mean, they're wonderful to play, but whoever's running it has to have a really solid idea of what's going on, and because they're making...
And lots of time on their hands.
Yeah, because they're making the framework up for the rules themselves. It's tough, but it was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of old games from our past, I got a parcel delivered a couple of days ago. And there was a game that you were reminiscing about, the Jaws board game, and
but it's not an old game; it's a new game.
Is it new? Is it old?
Oh yeah. No. It's based on an old movie.
Oh, okay.
But it's a new game. It was made like 5 years ago or something.
So it's not that old. But yeah, the way you described it to me, I thought this sounds really good fun. I mean. So I just ordered it, and it arrived in the post, and we're going to have to give it a try next time we're face to face.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I can't wait to play it. I mean, everyone's swearing. Everyone, I've read on Ars Technica and stuff. They've all said that this game has no right being as good as it is. You're not allowed to have a good game like this that you can buy from a Target store. It's. This kind of game has somehow gone past all the good game makers, and it's ended up in the kids section, and it's not supposed to be there.
The aficionados are getting angry, no, it's too good to be there. It's not supposed to be next to fucking Monopoly and Kimball.
Exactly, and it's there, and it's what the fuck? And Ravenberg, I mean, they've been making good games for a very long time, very successful games, a lot of them. But I think now they're hitting their stride because they're coming out with a Back to the Future game now or something.
Okay.
And they look very Ameritrash style games. So I'm looking forward to even the Back to the Future game that's coming out soon. However, you mentioned old games from the past, and then when I said new, there is actually an old game from the past that I want to get.
Oh, go on.
Which they've now done a new pressing because everyone on Board Game Geek was, they were just saying that this is a fucking incredible game. It was too good back in the day for anyone to appreciate, but now is its time. And it's the Dune game.
Oh, yeah.
Not Doom, but Dune.
Dune.
Dune. With sand. Frank Herbert's. And now it has an expansion and everything, but it looks like there's 8 different ways to win, each one different with whatever faction you're playing, and it just looks very convoluted, very political, and lots of fun. And I don't think that can be played without social distance or with social distancing.
And I mean, I'm a huge fan of the original Dune movie, and I'm really looking forward to the remake that's come out. And I saw the sci-fi
promising.
TV special, and that wasn't bad, but wasn't my thing. But to play a game in it,
it was okay.
And of course, it was the first RTS game.
Was it the first RTS? It's the first one I remember playing, going like, "Oh shit, this is cool," which was Dune 2.
Yeah, Dune 2. Yeah.
Dune 1 had tactical elements to it, but maybe you're right. Maybe
I think Dune, specifically Dune 2, I think was the first recognizable RTS game. And look how the genre's done now. Anyway, the line I've got here from Wikipedia says, while not necessarily the first real-time strategy video game, Dune 2 established the format that would be followed for years to come. So it was the first RTS of the style that we would recognise now. Because Command and Conquer and Warcraft were essentially reskins in terms of gameplay of Dune 2. They played the same way in their own individual setting.
But do you know what's nothing like Dune?
What?
But a good game that I remember from my childhood?
Go on.
I liked playing Mastermind.
Mastermind was fun.
That was a good game. It's the game where you have this board with lots of holes for pins, and you play against someone, and the one you play, there's a player who is trying to guess a sequence of colored pins. And the other person is controlling the board, and they have, within a sort of like secluded little nook there, placed a series of 4 colored pins. And then the other player takes turn, keeps on trying to guess what sequence the pins are, and then the one who has the hidden pins then gives this uses markers to mark which colors were correct.
Interesting, yeah. I mean, it's not the most advanced game, but I'm sure it's a degree of fun. Yeah. I used to
Go ahead.
I used to play a game with my family when I was a kid called the Business Game. It was first written in 1965, where it was called Mine for Millions, and the version we had was from 1972 called the Business Game, and you play the owner of a small Welsh gold mine. And you have to mine for gold, transport it to market to sell, and eventually export it overseas to make money. It's all very, very capitalist, and money is good, isn't capitalism wonderful, huzzah? But and the gameplay was ridiculously simple. It's certainly not up to the standard of board games today. But as a child, I loved it. I really did, and I've got fond memories playing that. We had Monopoly, but of course nobody... We've talked about Monopoly lots. I don't like Monopoly. Did you guys play Mousetrap? Did you have that when you were a kid?
I loved Mousetrap.
I think I think my grandfather had like half a Mousetrap.
Yeah, but once you lose a piece, the whole game is useless, because the aim of the game is to construct an enormous Rube Goldberg style mousetrap, and eventually, when it's all put together, someone will be in the right position to catch a mouse, and you set the trap off, and all these various different bits fall into place and happen, and the mouse gets caught. But if you've lost a part, the whole thing doesn't work. And it's very vulnerable to being broken by children or having a piece lost. But other than that, it was a fun game.
I remember there was, in Finland, it was a massive hit. It was like this ghost house game, which was also had this Rube Goldbergian design. You drop like a pebble or like a bearing into the chimney, and it would fall in a random direction on the board. And if you were on the trap, then it would flip your character over. And that was always a fun game to play. But as a kid, one of the games that I enjoyed playing more so than Monopoly was Hotel, because it was like Monopoly, but you actually built the houses, and there were like different kinds of hotels they built on it. It was a lot cooler.
That sounds. I've never seen that one, but it sounds interesting.
It was like a 3-dimensional game. You had like big houses, or like there was like the President Hotel, which were like these, high tower, silver structures, very square, like twin towers kind of thing. And then there was like this kind of Japanese golden, cylinders, which were very cool. And then you got the smaller little houses, and then there was like tiki huts as well, and it was a very simplified version of Monopoly, and it was a game where you could win.
Fair enough. Did you play Snakes and Ladders as kids?
Yes, I did. Various forms of it. Yes.
Did you know it's called something different in America?
Shoots and
they call it Shoots and Ladders because apparently snakes are scary over there. But the thing that gets me about that game is, what do you do in that game? Is there a single choice that you make in that game?
Oh, it's pure randomness. You just throw dice.
Yeah.
But then again, so is Yahtzee.
Well, there's a reason I don't like Yahtzee as well, but...
Yeah. Well, of course, there was another game that everyone loved as a kid. It was Heita Sika. In English, you like toss the pigs.
Oh, that was a different game.
Man, that was... I remember when I was at I think I was my grandparents' summer cottage, and I found this little black plastic case. I wondered, what is this? And I opened it, and it's as big as like half a wallet, and looked like if I fastly decorated, open up, and inside is green velvet, and nestled in the green velvet is two
little piggies,
2 plastic pigs, and I was so confused. I did not understand where their pigs. And then there was a little booklet which had pictures of like the pigs in various positions and then the points. and then through
Kama Sutra for pigs.
Then through the logic and deduction, I figured out, do I throw the pigs? And it's like how they land. And apparently, yes, that is the game. You take turns with 2 little plastic pigs, and you throw them at a corner or on the table. And depending on how the pigs land, you then record the points. Like, are they on their feet? Are they on the back? Is one on the side, one on the back? Does it actually like land, like stop with like its face down,
snout.
Ass up?
Yeah.
And now that is a game where there's a lot of chance, but there is a hint of skill.
Can
you chuck the pig just right?
I defy you to be able to throw the pigs in a way that they land how you want.
Well, so that's what a hint and like a promise of skill. Is it actually there? I don't know.
I'd say they're about as random as dice, but
I just think that it was someone came up with an idea. It's like we have these nice dice boxes, but like everyone has random dice games, and we need to sell these to kids somehow. And having a dice set is too much like games of chance, so let's change them into 2 little piggies that we chuck
a pig.
Chuck a pig. And I remember the box as well, and it had green velvet inside, and they were like indented, so they were like protected.
Exactly. I mean, it was so fancy. I mean, the first time I opened it, I was confused by the pigs, and I was afraid to touch them because I thought these were something expensive.
Yeah, exactly. It was great. Oh, I miss that game. I should get it anyway.
Yeah. It is a classic, and also unlike dice, the pig ultimately does have, because you get the more points for actually rare positions. Like, it is actually very unlikely to land on its snout.
Yeah,
and stay there.
I got a game that's tactical and it's from old school kiddie times. Uno.
Well, that has made a massive resurgence lately. So yeah, that's a fun game, and I like that there is a large like controversy in Uno, which then the makers took a stand in, and a lot of the players disagreed. And like, no,
what?
And like, how many can you play multiple, like pick up a card, more than one of them at a single time? According to game makers, no, you can only, if you play pick up 4 card, that ends your turn. You can't play 4 of them in a row, or like multiple, like pick up X cards on the same turn.
Okay.
Yeah, because then where players think got upset because that's a fun tactic of just hoarding those and then like dropping this massive load of flippy. Now you have to pick up like 38 cards or multiple cards instead of.
Yeah, well, then you can house rule it.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I like the fact that he got back, and in the memescape, I noticed that then people got upset thanks to the makers of the game, like pointing out, like, well, no, according to the rules, you can only play one of those per turn, not multiple.
Yeah. Well, yeah, okay, reeling it back to social distancing and stuff, I mean, and maybe like with kids, I mean, imagine the kids now these days, you know, like we grew up, I mean, the only thing that we feared was like nuclear annihilation, and, you know, that's nothing.
Well, we lived through the AIDS epidemic as well, so come on.
Exactly, yeah, nuclear annihilation, AIDS and plague.
But we went through the AIDS epidemic without worrying about AIDS because we were still kids.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, what about the Satanic Panic? We lived through that as well.
No,
yeah, but then we were toddlers then.
Yeah, plus I don't know how much of a Satanic Panic there was in Finland.
It got reasonably far in England thanks to some annoying people, but
but that was like in 85, 86.
I don't know. Back then there was like maybe like 5 people in Finland who heard about D&D.
I will say
we were really backwards.
The Satanic Panic was still in full strength when Interview with a Vampire came out.
Maybe.
Because, do you remember Oprah Winfrey led a prayer circle in the cinema because she was so terrified of it?
Yeah, but that's Satanic Panic for movies. Yeah.
You can't bring that into like the European context and say like, oh, this was how people acted. No, those are.
But
they acted
crazy
over there.
people over there.
It was mirrored to a lesser extent in the UK. I mean, I think Finland was probably insulated somewhat due to Finnish pragmatism, but it did show up in the UK to a lesser extent.
And but like, think about this. You know, like, okay, we lived through, you know, nuclear annihilation, Satanic Panic, and AIDS, that sort of stuff. But like, it didn't stop us from playing together out in the field or playing board games.
Well, especially with modern kids, and people like, oh, your kid goes out, they have to text their parents, they do whatnot. I grew up in the country. My parents were just like, get home before light.
But anyway, but like now kids are like, when they're going to be talking about like, oh yeah, do you remember back in the day? Like, are they going to remember, or are they just going to be like, yeah, it was a very lonely time, you know? Or are they going to be kids like dressed up in biohazard suits playing board games together or something?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they react. I was going to add, when we were kids, our parents told us, you know, got to watch out for, you know, for nuclear warfare. We've got to watch out for the AIDS epidemic. What they really should have been.
They told you that?
Well, at schools there were public information schools about public information films about AIDS, about nuclear warfare.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it was a main theme on TV as well. And like in most shows on TV had at least 1 or 2 AIDS specials.
Yeah, but that being said,
that is true.
They said, you know, it's safe for you to come home, and you know, the safest place for you is at home watching TV. And here's on TV is Jimmy Savile and Gary Glitter and Rolf Harris. So, we kind of got that the wrong way round, didn't we?
But yeah, but still, like, but we were growing up. The parents might have either wanted us outside playing or inside where they could see, watching TV watching TV to an extent, and then doing whatever, like playing with things, because we weren't allowed to watch too much TV because that might have been bad. And nowadays it seems like, oh, there's a pandemic, now everyone should have their kids inside. Parents can't wait to like just shove their kids out, like, get the fuck out. Apparently parents nowadays hate their kids and want them all to go to school. Like, okay, there's all this like doctors that's important thing, but whenever there's a large congregation of people, you know, then there's going to be contagion, so maybe we should avoid this and do some like long distance stuff. And then people are like, no, I don't want to talk to my kid. I don't want to spend time with it. They need to be in hobbies and in school and doing all these other things.
They need to be away from me.
Yes. And then when kids turn out to be assholes and like not properly like morally raised to be sensible human beings, then they also blame the schools and stuff. And he said like,
and that is why
people should spend time with their kids and talk.
That is why parents have to play board games with their kids.
Yes, because board games teach you critical thinking skills, people skills,
and how to spot if daddy is cheating.
Yeah, and deep resentment. You know.
Well, that's why they should to avoid that. They shouldn't play Monopoly. They should play.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever play?
But at least be sneaky.
Did you guys ever play Trivial Pursuit as kids?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And naturally, because I played it as a kid, I was not very good at it.
I wasn't very good, but and let me tell you one story which was amazing.
Go on.
If you remember, there was an old Gary Oldman movie called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead.
I've seen the play, but not the film.
Yeah, it's a strange movie, and I remember I watched it for some reason, and it was a funny movie. I didn't understand shit all what happened in it, but I knew that they were Hamlet's friends. They were his two best friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was, and we were playing Trivial Pursuit, and I'm sucking all the time, and I don't know any of these questions because these are questions from like the 70s, because my dad has like an old like anniversary edition from like 1985, whatever. Everyone's playing and they're answering their questions, feeling all good about themselves. And then there comes like, who were Hamlet's two best friends? And no one knew it. And everyone's like, I don't know. And I just start laughing and I'm like, I know this one. And even my brother was like, go fuck yourself. You don't know this one. I'm like, I do. It's like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. And like the look on their faces were like, but my brother had to deflate me instantly. It's like, oh yeah, well, you looked at the card, didn't you? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I know this. Yeah, right. You don't know anything. Go away.
Like all brothers are.
Yeah. He got upset that I knew something so esoteric.
Now, I've seen on YouTube a really good alternative way of playing Trivial Pursuit. It's done by a YouTuber called Tom Scott, worth a follow. And he gets his friends together and they play reverse Trivial Pursuit. So they have a set from, I think it was 1982 that they used. And what they do is they pick a category and then they give you the answer and you have to try and work out what the question was. And everyone is spitballing between them like, okay, what topics involve this as an answer? And whoever gets closest to the original question gets the mark. So, for example, if the answer was Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, you would have to try, well, what do we know about those? It's a play, it's a film, they were Hamlet's best friends. Okay, you get the point for that. And I love this idea of taking like well-established board games and then just doing something completely different with them, but still having fun.
So let's give this another round. Monopoly. I mean, we've gone into that whole like trying to improve upon it and stuff, but like, what's the way that we can turn it around? So how about you start off with a shitload of property and you're trying to sell it off?
Yeah,
because they're not making you any money.
Oh, you've got squatters and you have to get rid of all your houses.
Yeah,
you have to demolish everything crazy. So you can gentrify.
Yeah, but how do you? Yeah. Okay, but how do you sell them?
If someone lands,
you force them upon people.
If someone lands there, they're forced to buy it off you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, how does the game end? Because everyone is like keeps on buying them from each other.
Oh, the game ends when all the houses burn down. Because there has to be...
So the game comes with just a tiny can of lighter fluid and some matches.
That would improve Monopoly.
Because eventually someone just can't take it anymore and then they'll burn the board.
But see, the thing is that we have to flip it totally on its end. No one wants to end up in jail, right? But this is where you want to end up in jail because that means you're taking these squatters to jail.
Oh, I've got it. We combine one of my favourite films, The Producers, and we have Monopoly Insurance Fraud Edition.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Well, I don't know, but it involves like trying to get people into your house and then burning it down. And obviously you want to end up in jail because then you have an alibi.
So there you go. So I mean, you own you have the land and then you have to build it up as much as possible before burning it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, and how do we do this? I think we should the mechanic that Monopoly requires is the smuggling mechanic from Sheriff of Nottingham.
Oh, go on, tell me more.
Well, something like so whoever is like it's their turn, and then the other player, the player on the left, playing on the right, they represent the bank or whatever, or themselves, and then you have to sell off. You have to try to sell off a property, and then you're trying to convince is it only that, or does it come with like it came with like ratty houses.
So you've got like a package of unknown properties that you're trying to big the price up for. This is exactly what caused the global financial
crisis. You just want to
crisis.
get rid of them. So it's like, is there only one property, or does this come with? Well, you have to make new cards. Like it's the property, but then you have to like sell it so it doesn't come with like water damage.
But it's not the bankers; it's the insurance company, because you want to hike up the insurance costs as much as possible. So you're going to have to like say like, oh yeah, these are really good properties, and so basically you have hidden in your envelope all the properties with all the shit on there, but you have to make them sound so lucrative and positive, so that they will accept the insurance costs on it, but then they can be like bullshit. So you have to really give a really good pitch. It's like, oh yeah, this is a really nice house in a really good, area like Sodo Sopa, like really gentrified, but it's full of like drug addicts and shit. So if like the insurance guy doesn't believe you, they look into it and they can...
Essentially, yeah. To make that work, you would need an extra like modifier deck of cards. Like squatters, water damage, and so on, and you try
crack houses,
and like and then you'd have some modifiers you can like add to your like a bad thing, like your own negligence. You can use your own negligence that gives you a boost somehow, and then you have to pawn these off together with the like. Pre-existing. It burnt down a little bit, but and that's why I need like the insurance company to pay me back for all of the stuff, and and you have to convince them that you don't have any of some of your own bullshit in there. Like you sold the windows, and that's why it got full of crack, full of crack addicts.
Yeah, I want to play this game now.
I want to play this game.
I'm like, okay,
I think that would be so good.
Okay, essentially, yeah. So it's not even, we can like it's kind of Monopoly, because it's essentially sharing of Nottingham real estate version. Real estate agents.
But
you're trying to sell these bullshit apartments to all these like flip floppers.
You could create a monopoly of of meth houses and meth labs. You start popping them up in like all your different properties, or because yes, exactly. There's the power plant, there's the train stations. So if you get it, then you get the meth lab house, you can get like the crack dens, you can get the whore houses, and then you can start placing them into your properties. And, you can put all your eggs in one basket, like, in Boardwalk, and have like a crack house / meth lab.
Mayfair and Park Lane, please. We're going to use the British version for this.
Are you trying to
So we've fixed Monopoly.
Yeah, I think we fixed it. We can make it better. We can make it fun to play.
Yeah, and a new game, gentrification. See?
Gentrification.
Things like the brand new fancy houses, but it doesn't fix the local drug problem. There's still crack needles in the park.
And it should have a tagline which is a variation on the famous quote from Groucho Marx. He said, "I wouldn't want to be a member of any club that would let me in," and we could modify it so like I can't afford to live in any area. So no, other way round.
So that's so you're just homeless.
No.
Variation of the club.
Sorry.
Any club that'll have me, I don't want to be there. And variation that I can't afford to live anywhere.
Right off the bat, it's like I can't afford to live anywhere here.
No, something. Let me think. So,
I was thinking like the catchphrase should be like, "If it's too good to be true."
No.
And that's it.
Something like any area I move into, the property values suddenly go down.
I quite like it. It's like I can't afford any of this shit.
I can't afford any of these rents.
No, but like the little guys have to be like, instead of the dog and the diamond and the race car, it has to be like, like a small, like a Nissan and like a
the lumbersexual hipster.
Yeah, like a raccoon,
a latte.
A latte. Yeah, a hipster scarf.
Yeah.